From Poverty to Power, the Hyundai Story. Introduction. Have you ever seen something big and successful, like a huge company, and wondered, how did that happen? Maybe you've also thought, I want to learn English better, but it seems so hard. Many people wish for a better life, a life with more chances and success. This book is for you if you have these wishes. It's about a real person who started with almost nothing and built something wonderful. And it's about how you can use his amazing story to learn and grow too. Stories are special. They can take us to different places and times. They can make us feel happy, sad, or brave. More than just fun, stories can teach us important things. They can show us how people faced hard times and found ways to win. This book tells the true story of Chung Ju-young, the person who started Hyundai. You might know the name Hyundai from cars, but this story is much bigger than cars. It's the story of a man, his dreams, and his journey from a poor life to a life of great success. Chung Ju-young was born into a poor family. He did not have much money or many chances to go to school. Think of a young boy who had to work very hard just to live. But even with so little, he had a big dream inside him. He wanted to build things, to create something that lasts, to make a difference. Like many people today, he faced big problems. He knew that to make his dreams come true, he needed to learn, to understand the world, and to be able to share his ideas. Learning was his way forward. This book uses his amazing life to help you. We believe in something called learning with inspiration from stories. This means using true stories, told in simple, easy English, to help you learn. When you hear about Chung Ju-young's hard times and how he worked hard to get past them, you will not only understand his journey, but also naturally learn new English words and how to use them. His success becomes a strong reminder that with hard work and a desire to learn, you can reach your own big dreams. His story shows that learning, even when it is tough, can open doors you never thought were possible. In the pages that follow, we will look at Chung Ju-young's life more closely. You will find the specific problems he faced and the smart ways he found to fix them. You will learn lessons that can help you in your own life and with learning English. We are here to guide you like a friend who believes in you. So, are you ready to start this journey? Are you ready to be inspired and to learn English in a new, exciting way? Open this book, listen to the story, and let the journey of Hyundai help you on your own path to success. Your adventure starts now. 1. The early days of struggle. Life is a road, and sometimes the best trips start from the very bottom. Many people are like this, and it's true for the man who started Hyundai. He wasn't born with a lot of money. His start was very, very simple. Think of a small town, far from big cities. Life was hard there. Families didn't have much money. Sometimes there wasn't enough food. This is what our founder knew as a child. He lived when and where each day was a test. He didn't have nice toys or new clothes. His days were spent working, helping his family do what they could to live. He learned early that life wasn't about waiting. It was about making things happen with the strength you had. This sounds hard, and it was. But it also taught him important things that school couldn't. He learned about hard work, about how much every coin was worth, and about family. These early lessons, learned in quiet struggles with little money, were like small seeds in his mind. They would grow into something much, much bigger later. Think about wanting to learn something new, like English. Sometimes the words look strange, and the rules feel confusing. It can feel like a huge hill to climb. But what if you hear a story about someone who faced even bigger hills and climbed them? That's what we are doing here. We are looking at our founder's life, not just to tell a story, but to show you that if he could overcome his problems, maybe you can overcome yours too. His story helps us learn. It teaches us that even when things are hard, we can keep going. The founder tried many things when he was young, looking for ways to earn money and help his family. He was a young man with big dreams, but the world around him didn't offer many easy paths. He worked hard, carrying heavy things, doing tiring jobs that didn't pay much. He tried to start small businesses, but often things didn't work out as planned. Sometimes he lost the little money he had saved. Imagine saving for something important only to lose it. It feels sad and maybe a little bit scary. One time, he had a small business that was doing okay. He made a little money and things looked a bit better. But then, something happened that made his business fail. Maybe the economy changed, or something he couldn't control happened. This was a big problem. It meant he was back where he started, with very little. It would have been easy for many people to give up then. They might have said, "This is too hard. I can't do it." But the founder was different. He had a special strength inside him. It wasn't from big muscles, but from his mind and his spirit. He refused to let these failures stop him. Instead of looking at what he lost, he looked at what he could learn. Each time something went wrong, he tried to understand why. He asked himself, "What could I have done differently?" This ability to learn from mistakes is like a superpower. It makes you stronger, not weaker, when things don't work out. This is where we see the idea of learning with inspiration from stories at work. The founder's journey is a story. When we hear about his struggles and how he faced them, it inspires us. It shows us that failing isn't the end. It's just part of the journey. It teaches us that we can learn new words, new ways of thinking, and new skills, just like he learned. New ways to do business and solve problems. His story is like a teacher showing us that with effort and a good attitude, we can succeed. He had to be very smart with the little he had. He didn't have much money to buy new tools or materials. So, he had to find clever ways to use what he already had. This is called being resourceful. It means being good at finding answers with the things you have around you. For example, if he needed something for a job and couldn't buy it, he would think, "How can I make this myself? Or can I borrow something? Or can I find a cheaper way to get it?" He often worked with his hands, fixing things, building things, or finding ways to make things work better. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. He knew that real value comes from hard work and from making something useful. He didn't wait for chances to be given to him. He made them himself. He saw problems not as walls blocking his way, but as puzzles to solve. Each problem he solved made him stronger and smarter. This is a very important lesson for anyone learning something new. When you are learning English, you will find difficult words or confusing sentences. You might feel like you are not getting better. But remember the founder. He faced much bigger problems than a hard word. He faced hunger, no money, and business failures. But he used his mind, his hard work, and his strong will to find a way forward. He was resourceful. He made the most of every little thing he had. Let's think about the specific problems he faced. It wasn't just about not having money. It was about the daily struggle to survive. Imagine trying to find work when there isn't much. Imagine working long hours for very little pay. Imagine not being able to give your family the best. These are real, human struggles that many people face, even today. Our founder felt them deeply. He knew what it felt like to be hungry, tired, and worried about the future. But what was his attitude? This is the key. Even when he lost money, he didn't become bitter or angry at the world. He saw it as a lesson. He believed in himself. He had a strong inner feeling that he could do better. This belief, this inner power, is what kept him going. He knew that true power doesn't always come from having lots of money or things. It comes from your spirit, your will to succeed, and your ability to keep learning and trying. He didn't have much schooling. He couldn't go to expensive schools, but he learned naturally. He learned by doing, by watching and by thinking. He looked at the world around him and figured out how things worked. He saw what people needed and how he could give it to them. This kind of learning, the learning that comes from real life, is very valuable. It's the kind of learning that builds strong bases. Think about the meaning of our main idea, learning with inspiration from stories. The founder's early life fits this perfectly. His story is inspiring because it shows that starting poor doesn't limit what you can do. It shows that with hard work and a good attitude, you can succeed. Hearing these stories, especially when told in simple words, makes learning less scary. It makes us believe in our own ability to learn and grow. It shows us that the journey from having little to having power is possible. His resourcefulness wasn't just about saving money. It was about seeing chances where others saw problems. He was like a builder, looking at raw materials and imagining what he could make. He might have seen a broken cart and thought, I can fix this and use it to carry things. Or he might have seen people who needed a service and thought, I can provide that service. He was always looking for ways to build, improve, and create value. These early days were not easy. They were filled with hardship, sadness, and not knowing what would happen. But they were also the days that made him who he was. They taught him to be tough, to bounce back from hard times. They taught him the value of hard work and the importance of never giving up. They showed him that even with very little, he could still do a lot by being smart, determined, and resourceful. These struggles weren't just bad experiences. They were like the hard training an athlete does. They made him stronger. They got him ready for the bigger challenges that would come later. He learned how to manage with very little, how to be efficient, and how to make the most of every chance. These are lessons that are valuable for anyone, no matter what they want to do. His journey from these simple beginnings to becoming the founder of a global company like Hyundai is a strong proof of the human spirit. It tells us that where we start in life doesn't decide our future. It's our actions, our thoughts, and our persistence that truly matter. This is the heart of the From Poverty to Power story. The early days of struggle were not the end of his story. They were the important beginning, shaping the character and strength that would eventually lead to great success. These experiences were the building blocks. They taught him valuable lessons and created the strong spirit that would eventually help him build a great company. But how did he take that spirit and turn it into a clear plan for building something new? The next part will look at his first steps toward his big dream. 2. Building a vision for success. Even when life felt small and the world seemed to offer little, the seed of a big idea can begin to grow. This is what happened with the founder of Hyundai. He didn't just accept being poor. He looked around him, saw what was missing, and started to imagine something better. It wasn't just about having more money. It was about building something that mattered, something that could help others, something that could make a difference. This is the very first step on the road from poverty to power, the power of a dream. Think about it. When you learn a new language, you don't just learn words. You learn to express new ideas, to understand new stories, to imagine new possibilities. The founder's journey is like that. He had a deep desire, a strong feeling that he could do more, be more, and create more. This desire was like a tiny spark. It didn't matter that he had no money, no fancy education, or no connections. What mattered was that he wanted something different. He wanted to build. He wanted to grow. He wanted to create a future that was brighter than his present. This powerful inner wanting is the first, most important tool in building any kind of success. This desire wasn't a selfish thing. It was often born from seeing a real need. Perhaps he saw that people in his village or town needed better transportation, or that local businesses struggled to get the goods they needed. He saw these problems not as walls, but as open doors. Where others saw only difficulties, he saw chances to build solutions. This is a key part of the inspirational learning through storytelling concept. When we hear stories like his, we learn that our own circumstances don't have to limit our dreams. We learn to look for opportunities to be creative and to use what we have, no matter how little. The founder had a special way of seeing the world. He wasn't just looking at what was there, he was looking at what could be there. He could take a small piece of land and imagine a factory. He could see a few people working and imagine a large company. This ability to see the future, to picture a successful outcome in his mind, is what we call having a vision. A vision is like a map for your dreams. It shows you where you want to go. Without a vision, it's easy to get lost, to give up when things get tough, or to just drift through life. But with a clear vision, every step you take is a step towards that goal. This vision wasn't just a fleeting thought. It was something he held on to tightly. It became the reason he worked so hard. It was the light that guided him through dark times. Imagine trying to build a house without a plan. You might put up a few walls, but it wouldn't be a strong, well-built house. The founder's vision was his plan. It was his blueprint for success. He might have started with something very small, like fixing bicycles or selling a few goods. But in his mind, he was already building the foundation for something much, much bigger. So, how did he turn this vision into something real? It started with belief. He had to believe in his own ability to make his vision happen. This is a very important lesson for anyone learning English or working towards any goal. When you start something new, especially something challenging, there will be moments of doubt. You might think, this is too hard, or I'm not good enough. But the founder's story shows us that this inner belief is incredibly powerful. He believed in himself, and he believed in the future he was working towards. This self-belief gave him the courage to take chances, to try new things, and to keep going when others might have stopped. Let's think about a specific example. In his early days, before Hyundai was even a name, he might have been involved in a small business, perhaps, transporting goods. The roads might have been bad, the vehicles unreliable, and the competition fierce. Many people would have seen only the problems: broken trucks, slow deliveries, angry customers. But the founder saw something else. He saw the need for better transportation. He saw the potential for a more efficient way of doing things. He might have started by repairing the trucks himself, learning every bolt and engine part. He didn't wait for someone else to fix things. He became the fixer. This hands-on approach, this willingness to dive into the details and solve problems directly, was a reflection of his vision. He wasn't just managing, he was building, piece by piece, with his own hands and his own mind. His vision wasn't static. It grew and changed as he learned. He didn't have all the answers from the start. But the core idea, the strong desire to build something significant, remained. This is where the inspirational learning through storytelling concept shines. When we hear about these early struggles and how he overcame them, we see that success isn't about being perfect from the beginning. It's about having a clear direction and being willing to learn and adapt along the way. His vision acted like a magnet, drawing him forward, and also like a filter, helping him decide which opportunities were worth pursuing and which were not. He learned to say no to things that didn't align with his ultimate goal, even if they seemed attractive in the short term. The founder's journey teaches us that building a vision for success is not a passive activity. It requires active engagement with the world. It means observing, listening, and understanding. He likely spent a lot of time talking to people, learning about their needs and their frustrations. He wasn't afraid to ask questions, to seek advice, or to learn from others' experiences. This active seeking of knowledge and understanding is a crucial part of making a vision concrete. It's about gathering the information you need to make your dream a reality. Consider the sheer effort involved. When you have nothing, every step forward requires immense energy. It's like pushing a heavy rock uphill. But when that rock is moving towards a place you desperately want to reach, the effort feels different. It feels purposeful. The founder's vision provided that purpose. It gave meaning to his hard work. It transformed what might have been grueling labor into a meaningful quest. He wasn't just working for a paycheck. He was working to build his dream. This process of building a vision is also about cultivating a certain mindset. It's about optimism, yes, but it's also about resilience. The founder faced many setbacks. There were times when his businesses failed, when he lost money, or when people doubted him. But his vision acted as an anchor. It reminded him of what he was working towards. It gave him the strength to pick himself up after falling and to try again. This is a powerful lesson from his story, one that resonates deeply with the idea of inspirational learning through storytelling. By hearing how he persevered, we learn that setbacks are not the end. They are just part of the journey. What specific desires fueled this ambition? It was likely a mix of things. There was probably a desire to escape the cycle of poverty that had defined his early life. There was a deep-seated ambition to prove himself, to show that he was capable of great things. And, as mentioned, there was a genuine wish to contribute to the progress and development of his community and his country. He saw that by building strong businesses, he could create jobs, provide essential goods and services, and help lift others up. This broader sense of purpose made his vision more than just personal ambition. It became a force for positive change. How did he translate these initial dreams into concrete, actionable steps, even with limited resources and knowledge? This is where his resourcefulness truly shines. He didn't wait for ideal conditions. He started with what he had. If he needed capital, he found creative ways to borrow or save. If he needed knowledge, he learned by doing or by seeking out mentors. He might have started with a very small loan and a few loyal workers. He would have focused on delivering excellent service, building a reputation for reliability and quality. Each successful small step would have given him the confidence and the resources to take the next, slightly larger step. It was a process of building momentum, one small success at a time, all driven by that initial, powerful vision. He understood that building something lasting required more than just a dream. It required a solid foundation. This meant being meticulous in his work, even in the smallest tasks. It meant being honest and fair in his dealings with customers and suppliers. It meant continuously learning and improving. His vision wasn't just about the end goal. It was about the journey itself and how he traveled that journey. He knew that the way he built his business would shape the kind of company it would become. This entire process, from the first spark of desire to the concrete planning, is what inspirational learning through storytelling aims to capture. It's not just about hearing that someone became successful. It's about understanding the internal journey they took. It's about seeing how they thought, how they felt, and how they acted when they had very little. The founder's ability to build a vision for success, even from a place of poverty, is a powerful testament to the human spirit's capacity for growth and achievement. It shows us that the most important building blocks for success are often found within ourselves: a clear dream, unwavering belief, and the courage to take the first step, and then the next, and the next. With a clear vision in place, and the unwavering belief that success was attainable, the founder was now ready to face the practical challenges of turning that vision into reality. The next step was not just about dreaming, but about the hard work and strategic planning that would lay the groundwork for Hyundai's future. 3. Learning English through stories. Learning a new language can feel like climbing a very tall mountain. It might seem hard, with many new words and strange sounds. But what if I told you there's an easier way to climb, a fun way? What if you could learn English by listening to true stories that are exciting? That's what we will look at here. Think about the last time you heard a really good story. Maybe it was about an adventure or a person who did something amazing. Did you want to know what happened next? Did you remember the people and how they felt? Of course. Stories have a special magic. They grab our attention and make us want to keep listening. This is the secret to learning English easily. When we hear stories, especially stories told in simple, clear English, our minds are more ready to learn new words and how to use them. It's like planting seeds in good soil. The story is like the sun and water, helping those seeds grow into understanding. The stories you will read in this book are not made-up tales. They are real. They are about real people who lived real lives, faced real problems, and found real ways to solve them. Our main example, the person who started Hyundai, is one such person. His journey from being very poor to building a company known around the world is a strong example. When we hear his story, we don't just learn words like factory or business. We learn about his bravery, his hard work, and his dreams. We see how he never gave up, even when things were very, very hard. These are lessons that are more than just language. They teach us about life and about ourselves. One of the most important things about these stories is how they are told. We use simple English. This is very important for you, especially if you are just starting to learn. Simple English means we use common words and short, clear sentences. It's like building with strong, easy-to-handle blocks instead of trying to lift huge stones. When the language is simple, it doesn't feel like a confusing puzzle. You can understand more, and that makes you feel good. It builds your confidence. Each word you understand, each sentence you follow, is a small win, and many small wins add up to a big success. When you listen to these stories, you are also training your ears and your mind to understand English better. This is called active listening. It's not just hearing sounds, it's paying attention to how words are put together, how sentences are formed, and what the speaker's voice tells you. For example, if you hear a story about the Hyundai founder facing a big challenge, and the storyteller uses words like determined and never quit, you will start to understand what these words mean in that situation. You'll learn that determined means staying focused on your goal, and never quit means not giving up. This understanding, learned through the story, is much stronger than just memorizing a word from a list. The more you listen, the better you become at understanding spoken English, and this naturally makes you more confident to speak it yourself. But perhaps the most important part of learning through stories is the inspiration. Imagine someone who started with almost nothing, no money, no fancy school, just a big dream and a strong will. They worked day and night, faced many failures, but kept going. When you hear this, it doesn't just make you feel good for a moment. It plants a seed of hope within you. It makes you think, if they could do it, maybe I can too. This feeling of inspiration is like rocket fuel for your learning journey. Learning English can sometimes feel like a long road, but when you are inspired by the success of others, and you see English as a tool that can help you achieve your own dreams, suddenly that long road feels much shorter and much more exciting. You'll want to learn more words, practice more sentences, and speak more often, all because you believe in your own potential, just like the people whose stories you are hearing. Let's think about how this works, specifically with the Hyundai founder's story. When we talk about his early days, we don't just say he was poor. We describe the muddy roads he walked, the small, simple home he lived in, and the hard work he did from a very young age. We use words like struggle, poverty, and hardship. When we explain how he started his business, we use words like ambition, vision, and entrepreneur. We might say he had to overcome obstacles and take risks. By hearing these words within the context of his actual life, the specific challenges he faced and the brave actions he took, you learn their meaning in a way that stays with you. You're not just memorizing a definition, you're connecting the word to a real event, a real feeling, a real person. This makes the vocabulary much easier to remember and much more useful when you want to talk about your own goals or challenges. The grammar, too, becomes clearer. You hear how past events are described, how future plans are spoken about, and how problems are explained, all through the flow of his true story. The real benefits you can expect after engaging with a story like this are immediate and practical. For instance, after reading about the founder's early business efforts, you might have learned and understood at least 5 new words related to starting a business, such as startup, investment, competition, innovation, and profit. You would also have a clearer understanding of how to use past tense verbs to describe events that happen one after another. You might have heard sentences like, "He saved every penny he earned, and he decided to open a small shop." These are not just random sentences, they are building blocks of English that you can start to use yourself. You'll feel more comfortable using these words and sentence structures because you've heard them in action in a story that made sense. You'll also gain a better understanding of common phrases, like making ends meet meaning to have just enough money to live on, or thinking outside the box meaning to think creatively and in new ways. These are the practical gifts of learning through stories, real language you can use in your own life. Now, how can you make sure this learning sticks? How can you make stronger what you've learned after you finish reading a story? It's simple and effective. First, try to retell the story in your own words, even if it's just to yourself. Imagine you were telling a friend about the Hyundai founder. What were the most important parts? What did you learn from him? As you retell it, try to use some of the new words and phrases you encountered. Don't worry if it's not perfect. The goal is to practice. Second, think about how the story relates to your own life or your own dreams. Did something in the story inspire you? Did it make you think about a challenge you were facing? Write down your thoughts, using simple English as much as possible. You could even try writing a short paragraph about what you learned from the story and how you might use it. Finally, listen to the story again. Sometimes, hearing it a second time helps you catch things you missed the first time, and it makes stronger the words and phrases you already learned. Repeating, in a fun way like listening to a story, is a powerful tool for learning. Just as the founder of Hyundai used every chance to learn and grow, you too can use the power of these true stories to build your English skills and unlock your own potential. The next step is to understand how this learning can lead to real-world action and success. 4. The power of consistent practice. Life is often like a long road. Sometimes, the road is smooth and easy. Other times, it is rough with many hills to climb. When we see someone who has done great things, like the person who started Hyundai, it is easy to think they were just lucky or born special. But the real story is often simpler and more powerful. It is about what they did every day, even when no one was watching. This is the story of how small, regular efforts can grow into something wonderful. Think about the very beginning. Before Hyundai was a big company, before everyone knew its name, it was just an idea in one man's head. This man, our founder, did not start with much money or many chances. He started with very little, but he truly believed in himself and was ready to work hard. He understood a very important secret. Big things are built one small step at a time. In his early days, our founder had many problems. He worked hard, often doing difficult jobs. But even in those hard times, he found ways to keep learning and growing. He would wake up very early, before the sun came up, to do his jobs. Then, after a long day of work, when he should have been resting, he would often spend his evenings studying. He did not have fancy books or teachers. Sometimes, he would just watch successful people in the town. He paid close attention to how they spoke, how they made choices, and how they treated others. He was always looking for small pieces of knowledge he could use. He did this every day, not just once. This constant effort, this steady habit of learning and watching, was the first important step towards his future success. This idea of doing things regularly, even when they seem small, is like planting tiny seeds. You do not see a big tree right away. You see a little sprout. Then, with each day of sun and water, it grows a little more. That is exactly how learning a new language works too. If you want to learn English, you cannot just study for one whole day and then stop for a week. That is like watering a plant once and expecting it to grow tall. Instead, it is much better to spend just a little time each day. Maybe you learn 5 new words every day. Or you listen to a short English song or a simple story for 10 minutes. Or you try to say a few sentences in English to yourself. These small actions, done often, are like the daily water and sun for your English learning plant. The founder's journey was not always smooth. There were many times when things went wrong. He faced many failures. He lost money. People did not believe in him. It would have been easy for him to give up. Imagine trying to build something and it breaks. You try again and it breaks again. It is easy to feel sad and want to stop. But the founder did not stop. He saw each failure not as an end, but as a lesson. He would think, what went wrong? What can I do differently next time? And then, he would try again. He would keep practicing his ideas, keep working on his skills, and keep moving forward. This is what consistent practice truly means. It is not just about doing things when they are easy, but about continuing when things are hard. It is about getting back up after you fall and trying again, a little bit stronger and a little bit wiser each time. When you practice something regularly, something wonderful happens. You start to build speed. Think about pushing a heavy swing. At first, it is hard to get it moving. You push and it moves just a little. You push again and it moves a little more. After a few pushes, it starts to swing higher and higher. Your English learning is like that swing. The first few times you try to speak or understand, it might feel difficult. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Your brain gets used to the new sounds and words. You start to understand more. You feel more sure of yourself. This growing confidence makes you want to practice even more. It becomes a happy cycle, where each small step you take makes the next step easier and more fun. This way of working, of being dedicated and always trying to get better, became known as the Hyundai way. It is a way of thinking and doing that helped build a great company. It means you do not just do a job. You try to do it the best you can, every single time. You look for ways to make things better. You keep learning. And this Hyundai way can help you, too, in your own life and in your English learning. Just as Hyundai built cars and buildings through this constant effort, you can build your English skills and achieve your dreams through the same kind of steady commitment. Every word you learn, every sentence you understand, every time you speak English, you are building something strong and lasting. Let's think about how you, as someone just starting to learn English, can use this power of consistent practice. The founder's life shows us that it is not about having a special talent, but about having a regular habit. So, what does that look like for you? First, make a small, realistic plan. Do not say, I will study English for 3 hours every day. That might be too much and make you feel tired or sad. Instead, try something like, I will learn 3 new English words today. Or, I will listen to 1 short English podcast on my way to work. Or, I will read 1 page of a simple English book before I go to bed. These are small steps, but they are steps you can take every single day. Second, find something you enjoy. If you like music, listen to English songs. Try to find the words and sing along. If you like movies, watch simple cartoons or movies with English words on the screen. If you like stories, find children's books in English. When you enjoy what you are doing, practicing does not feel like work. It feels like fun. And when something is fun, you are much more likely to do it often. The founder, even in his difficult jobs, found ways to learn. You can find ways to learn English that you also find interesting. Third, do not be afraid of making mistakes. The founder made many mistakes on his way to success. Mistakes are not bad. They are like signs showing you where you need to get better. When you are learning English, you will make mistakes. You might use the wrong word, or say a sentence in a funny way. That is okay. The important thing is to keep trying. After you make a mistake, think about what you learned. Did you say I go instead of I went? Okay, now you know that for the past, we use went. Keep practicing the correct way. Each mistake you learn from makes you stronger. The founder never let mistakes stop him. He used them to get better. Fourth, build a routine. Our brains like routines. When you do something at the same time each day, it becomes a habit. Try to set aside a special time for your English practice. Maybe it is right after you wake up, or during your break for lunch, or before you eat dinner. When it is part of your daily routine, you will not have to think so hard about doing it. It will just happen. This consistency is the key. It is like brushing your teeth. You do not think about it, you just do it because it is part of your day. Make your English practice a part of your day. Finally, remember why you are doing this. Think about your dreams. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to get a better job? Do you want to talk to people from other countries? Do you want to understand English books and movies? Keep that goal in your mind. When you feel tired or discouraged, remember your why. The founder's vision of what Hyundai could become kept him going through all the hard times. Your vision of what you can achieve with English can keep you going too. The story of the founder of Hyundai is a strong reminder that success is not usually a sudden event. It is the slow, steady work of many days. It is the result of choosing to do the right thing over and over again, even when it is difficult. This is the power of consistent practice. It is a power that is available to everyone no matter where they start. It is the power that can help you learn English and unlock your own amazing potential. Just as the seeds of Hyundai were planted through daily, dedicated effort, the path to mastering English and unlocking your own potential is made smooth by the same steady commitment. Tomorrow, we will explore how the founder's ability to change and create new things further helped his amazing rise. Conclusion. The story of Chung Ju-young still feels strong today. It reminds us that where you start doesn't mean you can't reach great places. He had very little at first, facing problems that seemed too big to fix. But with hard work and a spirit that never quit, he built something amazing. This book told his story not just to talk about a big company, but to show the amazing power of one person's dream. We used simple words so everyone could understand and feel the strength in it. This book was made to show you that listening to real stories told in easy English can help you learn the language and find your own path to success, just like the man who started Hyundai did. How do stories give us power? They show us what can happen. When you hear about someone getting through tough times, it gives you courage to face your own problems. A story touches your heart, helps you remember things better, and gives you energy to keep trying. This is the wonderful way of learning from inspiring stories. Stories are also a great way to learn a language. When you hear words in a story, they make sense because of what's happening around them. This makes them easier to remember than just seeing a word by itself. Stories make learning fun, not like a chore. You hear how people really talk, and you learn new words without even trying. Chung Ju-young learned to speak and build his dream through his life, not by studying lists of words. Using simple English is important because it lets everyone join in. It makes learning feel less hard and lets the inspiring message be seen clearly. Now, you have heard this story. What does it mean for you? The man who started this company had very little, just like you might be starting your English learning. But you have the same ability to learn and get better. To succeed in learning a language like in life, you need to keep trying. Keep listening to stories. Keep practicing your English. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. They are a normal part of learning. Find stories that you enjoy. Believe in your own power to learn and to grow. Going from having nothing to being powerful isn't just about money. It's about gaining the power to talk to others, the power of knowing things, and the power to make your future. The path from having little to being powerful is made of stories, and your own story is waiting to be written. Listen, learn, and grow.